Comcast is raising its internet and cable prices. China is blaming Italy for the coronavirus pandemic, and a mysterious monolith shows up in Utah. All this and more on Pulling the Focus.
Welcome back to episode 8 of Pulling the Focus, the show where we bring you the latest in pop culture and world news. We got a lot of exciting headlines, so let's get right into it. Starting off with the first one, China now blaming Italy for starting the Wuhan coronavirus pandemic. This is pretty crazy. We have some more shifting the blame when it comes to who started the virus. Of course, lots of countries putting their blame. We have right here, officials in Beijing are pushing a new study that suggests the contagion may have been spreading in the European nations. So pretty crazy. Who knows if that's true nowadays?
As early as September, they're saying, 3 months before it was confirmed to be spreading in China. China has also speculated that the US was involved in the spreading of the coronavirus during the military World Games in Wuhan that took place last year. There's a lot of really interesting stuff going on with where the virus originated and China trying to push the blame off, which isn't a surprise because if you paid attention to what Trump was saying along the lines of the virus, he would always call it the China virus. Yeah. And it was for this very same reason, because he knew that one day China was going to try to push that blame off to somebody else. But we know it came from Wuhan. It's been known since day one. Next up, major news. The General Services Administration, the GSA, has notified the Biden team that Trump is ready to start the transition process. Trump has come out and said that if the Electoral College chooses Biden, he will concede the election, but he is waiting till all his lawsuits and court documents are reviewed and checked. But I also want to talk about this because it's very interesting. The Biden-Harris ticket has reached, for the first time ever, 80 million votes, which is major news. I want to point out something to you. Obama in 2008, 69, almost 70 million, 69.5, let's say. Obama 2012, 65.9, let's say 66. He lost about 3.5 million votes that second round, right? Trump 2016, 62 million. Hillary, for comparison, 2016, 65 million. Trump in 2020, 73.9 million he's at. So let's say 74 million. And Biden in 2020 has 80 million, right? So this is my speculation. The reason I bring this up is it's like, how did Biden beat all of the others and yet he was the one that nobody was really excited about, you know? So that's why people are saying there's a lot of fraud. There's a lot of things that still need to be investigated. And we're going to see whether this election gets overturned within the next couple of weeks.
For sure. Up next, another unfortunate headline. Comcast is raising the internet and television prices nationwide next year. Now, this is pretty crazy to hear considering they have $1 billion in public subsidies, and they're already charging the public a lot more, which nobody wants to be charged more for their internet and their plans, as well as even having a data cap at only a terabyte, which considering that's considerably a lot, but for many household members, but that's
so Comcast been given $1 billion by us, the public, so we've already helped them out in aid through the coronavirus, and on top of that they want to hike up their prices. And if you've ever wondered why the rich get richer, it's because of stuff like this, and it is horrible. Next up, I don't know, I'm sure you've heard of this, I'm sure you saw it, the Utah monolith that just appeared, this alien artifact that just randomly appeared in Utah. These helicopter pilots were basically looking for bighorn sheep. They were trying to count how many there were in the area, and they saw this monolith and they went down and investigated. It was made out of steel. It was crazy. I'm sure you're looking at a picture of it right now. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Even the guy was like, oh, this is from another planet, like the pilot. And I know they were making jokes, but low key, you're like, damn, these jokes could be real. So we don't know anything about it, but we'll keep you guys updated. Next up, this is a quick one. Disney decides to cut 4,000 more jobs. And it's really sad to see that Disney is having to do that. This is for their parks, I believe. Is this parks?
Yeah, I think, the employees that work in the parks.
Right. I have a close friend of mine who works at Disney World, and she was laid off, which is unfortunate because she really loved her time there. So really sad to hear that. Next up, major news. Kim Jong-un's nephew, Kim Han-sol, has reportedly been taken into custody, protective custody by the CIA. His father was murdered. His father was the brother of Kim Jong-un, was murdered by his brother. This is the son, so his nephew. And basically he's gone into hiding because they think that maybe he'll try to do something to him. We don't know. It's all speculative. They came to his house in Macau, a territory of China, and extracted him. So it's kind of crazy. Next up, YouTube temporarily demonetizes OANN and blocks from posting for 1 week. That's currently happening right now. They were blocked from
Mm-hmm.
content. This is one of the biggest like up and coming news networks next to Newsmax, because of all the controversy with Fox News. So OAN has kind of like been really big on the conservative platforms, and they just got blocked by YouTube, which I didn't realize how much money these media companies were getting from like YouTube and Google. I never even thought about that until this happened. I was like, wait a second, this like even Fox News, even like CBS, even NBC, even ABC, all these companies on YouTube, they're still making money off of that. So I didn't even think about that, because I'm like, you guys are already making money off of ads on TV, but now you're making money off of ads on internet. I'm like, wow, it's crazy.
Yep.
Next up, two major Apple headlines. Apple security chief is accused of bribing officers with iPads in exchange for concealed gun permits. Absolutely insane. The story basically is that this chief officer, the security guy, was gonna donate to an iPad worth $70,000 to the sheriff's office in exchange for 4 concealed and carry licenses. This is a deeper story because it says that the Santa Clara DA is basically investigating the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office, which is the one that received the bribe. So apparently they've been receiving a lot of bribes for stuff like this.
A whole scheme.
And this was kind of like Apple got caught up in the middle of it because they were involved. And so it's really a bigger case, which is really interesting to see that it's kind of blowing up.
Yeah. Continuing on with more Apple news, they're moving their iPad and MacBook production from China to Vietnam. Now, this story really doesn't sound that crazy to me, considering a lot of production I know for at least Nike shoes happens in Vietnam. So right here, this is the first time ever because of apparently Trump's trade war. This is a huge situation that's going on.
Next up, doctors say CDC should warn people of the side effects from the COVID vaccine, that it won't be a walk in the park, apparently. I've heard that it's basically like a really intense hangover for a day or two, and then you kind of start feeling better. But it was massive headaches, massive stomach aches. And that's just from taking the vaccine. So sign me out. I don't want
right? So much to go through.
And finally, before we go into our deeper dive, Elon Musk says the Tesla Semi will be able to go 621 miles per charge. That's major.
Nuts.
It's major.
It's huge, especially stock. The design. Yeah, that's the stock's just going up. Well, there you have it for the quick headlines of the week. Let's go ahead and get a deep dive into the more interesting stories that we found. So starting off with the PS5 and Xbox Series X, a restock will be coming in time for Christmas. So I don't know, for those of you that haven't pre-ordered and weren't able to get one, there is light at the end of the tunnel. We have some new tweet from PlayStation saying we want to thank you guys, but they're coming back. So hopefully stay on the lookout all over the social media and online. You can potentially be getting it from stores like Target, Walmart, and GameStop, but hopefully you guys can get one. I haven't been able to get one, and I don't know about you.
I haven't either. Finally, our last headline of the day is a very big global headline. Iranian nuclear program head Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was assassinated in Iran. Now, apparently this was 2 vehicles. One was driving him and the other one had bodyguards. I think bodyguards were also in his car, but they found a bomb. One of the cars was exploded and one of the cars was shot up with bullet holes. So they're thinking that there was a suicide bomber, but nothing is confirmed. Here's the crazy part about this story. Iran is speculating that this was the Mossad, which is the Israeli secret intelligence. So they're saying that if Israel did this, that they are causing them to want to do a full-blown war against Iran, which is really crazy to think about. But here's the thing about why this is interesting. In 2003, Iran was forced to shell Project Ahmad, which was their nuclear program from 1999 to 2003. And it was headed by Mohsen Fakhrizadeh. And so he was already at the head of it, and then he disappeared, and they created 2 programs, one covert and one that was very out in the open. So they had a public and private, and he was in charge of the private. And then years later, 2018, it came out and they finally announced him like, oh, he's been leading it this whole time. And they are the whole reason they had the Iranian nuclear deal was because basically they were saying they weren't going to do any more nuclear programs, and now it's like, oh, hello, nuclear is back on. So the fact that this guy got assassinated is a huge deal because he was the only person in Iran who really understood the nuclear stuff, and they just took a big hit. So this is major. The reason I say it's major is because this could literally within the next coming weeks send like shockwaves through the whole world.
Absolutely.
So be on the lookout for it.
So we have a tweet right here. They even consider him as Iran's Robert Oppenheimer. So of course, anything that has to do with, like you said, scientists being assassinated that has to do with a nuclear projects, that could be something very serious that could be going on behind the scenes. So, you know, let's hope the outcome doesn't turn out bad.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like now there's a lot more tension in that area because of this. And if they did kill this man, and if Israel was responsible for it, and they were just worried about the nuclear threat that could come out of it, if it saves the whole world from going into like a deeper war, I'm good with it. You know, like, well, that's it for us here at Pulling the Focus. We hope that you enjoyed the episode. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't, and make sure to come back every week on Saturdays, because we're going to be hitting you guys with the best of world news. So thank you guys so much, and cheers.
See you next time.